That was a good thing. Okay, we're recording. Alrighty, so our subject for today is planning our training sessions. So I've prepared a little PowerPoint presentation, a much shorter one this time, and it's about 14 minutes, I think, if I stretch it out a little bit. So here we go. So,
all right, what is go back to that picture. What is JoJo saying in that?
what is she saying? She's saying, let's get started.
No, I think she's saying, I don't want to plan. I want to go crazy.
Anything
she
but
is a cutie.
So yeah, we have a lot of pictures of JoJo because I get to watch her a lot. So you know, here's the basic thing is you have to know where you're going in order to have a plan in the first place. And you have to know what your dog can do right now. And then you're going to build the steps to get to that point and to get to your goal behavior, your terminal behavior. Then when you're training, you're always probably going to have to go 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and sort of incrementally work up through there. So how do you do all this? First of all, we have to know what criteria we're going to be asking the dogs to do. So basically in any behavior, we've got a certain amount of prompting we're going to do or cueing. Prompting is physical, cueing is verbal. And distance means how far away from the trainer. Duration is how long is the dog going to have to do this particular behavior. Distractions, is somebody going to be walking on the field, or is there going to be food dropped on the field somewhere, or what kinds of things is your dog going to have to work through? Movement in the vicinity, people and dogs moving, playing tug, playing ball, whatever. Diversity, I've added this one to most of my training because I need to make sure that my dogs can work in new places. Another one is latency, which means, like if you say push, how long does the dog have to start pushing? So you've got to have, maybe you want to have it immediately in some cases. In other cases, you might want to have a slower latency. Although in sports, especially time sports, we tend to want to have immediate response times. And warm-up means how many repetitions do you have to do for the dog to be able to do the behavior. So your goal in the end is that they do it the first time you ask. So if you're in competition, you don't really get to go out there and warm up before you start competing. So this is a list of things that we need when we're asking our dogs to do Treibball. They have to go into the ring under control. They wait at your side for the go when ready signal. Then they run out behind the balls, and then they have to stand behind the balls in such a way that they can push them toward you instead of off to the side. They have to wait for a couple of seconds before they push. They have to push just the point ball first, or they get a penalty. They have to go out and get the next ball and the next ball and the next ball and push them all in. And then, so specifically, they have to drive the balls toward the handler. Doesn't do any good if they drive them away from the handler. And they have to finish in the down position and then leave the ring under control. So I think that's pretty complete list, but we could probably add lots of little things to that. So this is the training scheme that I like to try to get people to do is to make each training session 5 trials. And so if the dog gets it right 4 out of 5 times, then or 5 out of 5 times, you can increase the criteria, make it harder for the dog. If the dog gets it right 3 out of 5 times, then I would keep the criteria right at the same level. And if it's 2 or less out of 5, then I'm going to decrease the criteria for the dog. So I pretty much have to know where I'm at with my criteria when I do that. So this means you have to keep track while you're training. And so I've developed some tools that I use to keep track. So I'll count out 5 cookies, or, I'll keep track in my head, or, you can jot it down on a piece of paper, keeping a training log, or you can go back and watch yourself later and count from your video. And so this is what a training log looks like. You've got all of your parameters up there, date, behavior, and really you don't want to make a training log too complicated, but if you fill this out ahead of time, it really helps. So we're going to use balancing as an example for a novice class. So our goal is that the dog stays on the opposite side of the point ball from the handler. What can the dog do now? So I'm talking about a beginning dog, not an advanced dog. Let's say the dog knows obedience and they can do a front. They can do a straight front close to the handler. So our criteria is we want them to send out to balance behind the ball on the first request. They're going to send out 20 feet if they're a medium-sized dog. They're going to hold position for 3 seconds. They're going to work around new dogs and people and new smells. And they're going to be able to do this anywhere. So this is the goal. This is like the ideal. And we want them to go to work immediately on the first cold trial. So that's where we're headed. So we have a roadmap now. So balancing, for those of you who maybe use a different terminology, is when the dog stays on the opposite side of the ball from the handler. And so on this picture down here on the bottom with the 8 balls, the dog is sent out around and the handler is standing up elsewhere in front of the dog. So that's what it looks like. And there's JoJo sitting behind 3 balls. So I have some videos here and again, this is beginning work. Let's see if I can get this. Can you guys see this?
Yeah, just make it bigger.
Yeah.
Make it bigger. Okay, here we go. So this is pilot. I'm just trying to give an example for a beginning dog learning how to stay on the opposite side. And, she's push happy, so she's trying to push the ball too, and I'm not focused on that at the moment. It's like, this is too boring. I want to push too. So, and she's just learning to stay on the opposite side of the ball, and I'm chucking treats behind her or out to the direction I'm going to be turning toward. Good, and she lines up. So there's no sit involved in this because I'm just learning the position. She's just learning the position.
Tracy, I'm not sure if you're wanting to say something, but maybe you could mute yourself as we're getting a little feedback from your side. Thanks.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. Sorry I'm late.
No problem. Okay, so you get the idea. That's the end of that one. Let's see, back over here. This is also beginning. It's just an indoor space, and it's only 16 seconds long, so we won't bore you with the details. This is KK, and she's pretty push happy. But you can see this is possible to train indoors, which is great for winter situations, small training facilities, etc. And then this is Monica and JoJo, and they're working at a longer distance. Monica, you want to talk us through?
Oh, let's see. Well, just doing the same thing you were doing, except farther away, chucking the treat after she's in position, and then moving around to a new position while she's hunting for the treat, hopefully. Yeah, that was it.
Okay. So, here's working on the criteria. I'm going to set out my plan ahead of time, and I'm going to try to work where I'm standing right on the top of the bucket or the ball, and then slowly I'm going to work with my toes behind the object, and then 6 inches, 1 foot, 2 feet, 3 feet, 5 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet, etc. And so this is going to be what my training log looks like. Now, I wouldn't fill it out ahead of time, but I might have my increments figured out ahead of time. But I might have to, like in this one, I have 2 out of 5 here, so I reduced the criteria and made it 1 foot behind instead of 2 feet behind. And my duration was 1 second instead of 2 seconds. So, I noted over here that, oh boy, today wasn't a good day. It was 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And on this one, we got 3 out of 5. So we kept the criteria the same from 8 feet behind instead of moving it up to 10 feet. And I reduced the number of seconds so that the dog doesn't have to be too frustrated about the amount of time that they're there. And so don't want to be too greedy, just quit while I'm ahead. So anyway, finally we get to 20 feet behind, and that's our goal. Yes?
Can you let it sit there for a second? I'm studying this. Maybe, does anyone else have any questions right now?
This will be, I can put this spreadsheet up on the file section of our Facebook page too for anybody. I'll put a link to this presentation and the recording and to the blank worksheet, spreadsheet, and this one that's already filled out. Okay, so this is, yes?
Oh, you have a question?
Could I ask a question about the column about the verbal cues?
Sure.
You've got like whole hand and then just a finger. Are you trying to get to just a verbal cue or something very small?
It doesn't matter. There's no scoring for that in NATE, so you can use physical and verbal. This is just an example of somebody who might want to get it on a verbal. The advantage of having it on a verbal is if the dog is racing out to the ball and they're not looking at you, then they won't see a physical prompt. So knowing what the verbal cue means would be advantageous for you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure thing. Let's see. So this is I use this in my family dog classes, that this is a staircase from kindergarten to PhD. So, taking your Treibball into different places would be graduated so that you're not trying to do this at a trial before you've done it around a few dogs, maybe moving slowly and then moving more quickly, etc. I don't know if this is helpful for everybody, but sometimes we get greedy and we jump up a little too fast. You go up 2 or 3 stairs when your dog isn't ready for it. Or, dogs can have good days and bad days. So again, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sort of a normal process. So here's the recommendations. Before you train, you want to sit down and think about what you want, plan it, and then finally you're going to go out and train. And so that this think, plan, do is one of Bob Bailey's famous little one-liners. Know what you want, know what you've got, and then spend the time to plan your training sessions. It takes a little bit of work, but it's probably worth it in the long run if you plan those increments. Change your criteria incrementally. Don't ask for too much. And if you're changing more than one criteria at a time, you will get frustration and decreased performance. And then use a training log to focus your training. So this is what I'm going to put up on the Facebook page is the training log, the PowerPoint slides, and a recording of this presentation. And this is Lily, Cheryl's dog. And so Monica, it's your turn.
Okay, well, I'll say for myself, this has been enlightening because I did create a training log and was quite proud of myself, but even though it took me like 1 level from my greediness, I was able to see how greedy I was being. This takes it to the whole next level. It's like I was like kindergarten self-control, and now I feel like, okay, now I know how I really need to be paying better attention and breaking it all down smaller and moving slower and being even less greedy. And what the point you made, that if you go too fast, you're going to hit frustration and you're going to, have decreased performance. And that's totally what happened with JoJo. She was doing great with 3 balls, and I just like jumped both from 3 balls to 6 and from 25 feet to 35 feet and thought that she should be able to do it. And I didn't slow it down and go, okay, let's isolate one criteria. Let's just isolate the distance. And then let's isolate, go from 3 balls to 4 balls. And what are the challenges that she's facing? And so she did get frustrated, and I think that it slowed us down significantly. So this is such a great resource. Thank you, Sandy. So my training log that I made and that I posted on Natebook on the Nate's Facebook, I think it's on there in the file section. I put a little picture of it I don't know, maybe 8 months ago or something. All it had on it was date, distance, number of balls, whether or not I used rings for wind, the time, and then whether or not I used treats, and then a rating, like was it an A+ or was it a C or a D, and then a comment section. And so it's really, I can see I totally want to revamp my training log, and it almost seems like having like a separate page for each of the criteria would be helpful. Like you could have, a page just for, so with what I'm working on right now, a page just for the distance, so that I can stay focused on, okay, this is a skill that I need to work on and go up incrementally. And then another page for increasing the number of balls, because one of the issues we've had is with 6 balls, they have to push really hard, to break the ball, and that is where I think her frustration came. and I didn't practice the break enough. And so then when we went back and kind of started over, I did really, really close repetitions of just breaking the point ball, getting me the point ball, and getting a jackpot of treats. And then that kind of broke her through that frustration that she was getting from having been asked for too much, you know. Sorry. So that's my husband just came home. That's my story, I think. Is there anything else I should say, Sandy?
No, I think that's pretty much, you know, I think you've been remarkable and less greedy than I would be. I think we are all sometimes too much in a hurry to get to where we're going. So anyway, we're going to start the discussion part. But before we do, I want you all to put Thursday, April 6th on your calendar. Same time, same channel. First Thursday of the month. And we're going to have some topics out there that we can vote on. So one of the ones that we've had a lot of votes on so far is pushing multiple balls. And we have a poll on the Facebook page. We can do help with video titling and getting started, do a website tour so that people know where things are. So if you would, go ahead and sign up on the NATE events page once we get it up there, and then add it to your calendar for the next event. So let's go on with discussion here. Does anybody want to tell us about their training plan? Oh, also welcome we have a caller who's called in on the phone who hasn't been introduced yet. Are you there?
Well, this is Harriet. Unless you have another caller, I already was on.
Yeah, there's another caller out there. So hopefully they'll tune in. And Lisa Wisdom is here. Lisa, why don't you tell us where you're from and how your dogs are doing in training?
So I'm in Portland, Oregon, and I've kind of put all my eggs in one basket, and I've been focusing on my border collie that I've had now for 2 years. So it's been a slow progress because he was a dog I adopted and had definitely some proximity issues and handling issues as far as, touching him and stuff. So Treibball has been really good for him. He's great at getting out behind the balls. His orientation is good. He just lacks impulse control. He gets too excited. And I haven't let him do a lot of pushing just because of that, because he gets too crazy. So I'm trying
what's his name?
Keeper.
All right.
Keeper, yeah. He's looking at me. So for him, I have distance with him. I have incredible distance, and what I may have made a mistake because I taught him come by and away, and I mean he'll go out 30, 40 feet easy. I take him to the parks. I have him do the come by and away around trees and poles and garbage cans, you name it. But I didn't teach him to stop, to actually line up and do the orientation. I did, but I didn't do it at a distance. I have it up close and personal, and then when he's out doing a come by, he's a border collie, so he wants to keep moving. Mm-hmm. So there's just a lot of pieces we're missing for sure, that we just need to go back and train.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah.
So I just think I need to go back and not, it's not really going back. It's just I need to break down some stuff for him And I think he's going to be awesome once he gets out there and really gets to push. And I don't want to have the attitude of I need to slow him down, because that's not what I want to do. I want to get his impulse control under control, which was last month's topic. But it's just having that training log, I think, will help me a lot to go, okay, what's my, think about my plan, have the plan, go do it with him. So
Right.
that'll help us a lot.
Good. How old is he?
He's 3. I've had him for 2 years. But I spent the first year just really trying to build a relationship with him. I did some Treibball training, but just some basic stuff, teaching him to line up and stuff. And I went too far with the come by and away. He was good at it. He just kind of did it on his own, so I put it on cue.
Right.
So I may have made a mistake doing that, because then you do it, and he's like, I'm out there, I'm gone. He comes right back. And he's really good at the whole start from finish. And he doesn't care about the treats when he's doing that, because I think he starts doing that OCD border collie out of his mind. I just want to get out there and run and do it. So
yeah. So guess you have to go back to square one and work on the balancing and stopping.
Yeah, just the foundation pieces, I think, and I think he'll be great. Now, my Sheltie is 5, and he is, he's a little bit of a dud. He's great with, and he's got great foundation.
Sorry.
Oops. That's okay. He's got a great foundation, but I have no distance with him. He doesn't want to leave my side, and he doesn't have the drive to go out there and get behind the balls. He's a great pusher. He's got a great orientation, and all that stuff. But I need to build some more drive in him to get him to go out and bring them in.
Okay.
So I have different issues with both dogs. I mean, not that I expect them to be the same.
Full spectrum then.
Yeah, for sure.
So does anybody have any specific stories they want to tell about their dogs working on incrementally training? Barb?
My problem is that I'm a random lumper.
I think you were the one
so
that mentioned this topic in the beginning, weren't you?
Because I need it so bad. Yes, I think I was. And I love your spreadsheet, your training log. And I am so bad at, well, he got that right. Let's take 5 steps and do it again. And I think this will really help me to slow down, especially with my Sheltie, who tends to be anxious and nervous anyway. And even though he's brilliant, going too far sends him over threshold. And then we both get frustrated.
Yeah.
And I think this has been a fantastic presentation. I think it'll help us a lot.
Oh, good. Excellent.
That sounds very familiar to me, too.
So we have a second caller on the phone. Are you there yet? Can you tell us who you are? The mysterious caller. Okay. Cindy, you're next on the list. Tell us a little bit about training incrementally with your 2 dogs.
Well, I started both my dogs, I think, going through the stages like you had me do, but I think I may have been one of those that moved forward a little too fast, because now I'm having to go backwards again. And I'm not sure if I should go way back but they're definitely pushing the balls when they go around them. They want to sort of get around the ball as quick as they can, so that they're very, very anxious to do what I want them to do. I can't complain about the desire, but now I've got to somehow get them to focus on staying away from the ball a little bit more. It's really hard to do because you focus on pushing and them orientating around the ball, and then all of a sudden now you're trying to push them back away from the ball, and so that's the problem I'm having. Now I don't even practice push. I do it like the last thing, that's what I do, and then that's it. I don't do it anymore because now it's more getting them behind the ball and staying there.
Get more reinforcement for that.
Yeah, maybe I didn't do a log, and maybe I needed to keep a log and sort of work my way forward a little more slower and maybe not move as far ahead as I did.
Right.
Because in the beginning they couldn't push the ball. Now they can push the ball, and it's the opposite. So.
Yeah, so I think you're always balancing your criteria. You're going to have to go back and work on one and go back further to the beginning sometimes. Yeah, I think we're all, many of us are in a similar place. So,
but I seem into it. I think I'm just going to slow down and just work on sending them out and, that sort of thing. So I think I kind of have an idea, but I probably should print out that log and write it down.
Right. And I think the hardest part I have about the plan with the 5 repetitions is that I want to increase the criteria during the 5 repetitions, not go through 5 repetitions exactly the same. So I have the data to decide whether the dog can do that level or not. So I'm always changing my criteria instead of staying in one place, unless I'm really focused on how should I be doing this, and really sitting down and focusing on how I'm training versus the results that I'm getting from my dog. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Harriet, how about your increments in your training?
Well, actually, with my youngest dog, I really start every session at the very beginning. Even though she's, like I said, she's pushing 3 balls 10 feet really reliably, but I still start every session with lining up around a box, not a ball, and a few times, and then I put a ball. And we do hand touch and all this kind of stuff as a warm-up before we even start practicing, pushing balls. Oh, and the target practice. So our sessions are only about 10 to 15 minutes a day is about all I do with her. But I do all of that stuff before we get to the balls. And the distance, I think I've increased that over from being really close to 10 feet in about 7 weeks. So that's kind of, I don't think that's very fast, right?
Depends on the dog.
So,
Harry,
yeah.
Yeah. Can you say that again? How many feet in how many weeks?
Well, she's 10. She's pretty reliable at 10 feet in about 7 weeks.
So you went from 0 to 10 in 7 weeks.
Yeah, but I did a lot of with the ball. But I did a lot of work without a ball.
Yeah. No, that sounds great to me.
Yeah, because I probably because I did kind of write out a plan, and I may have sort of stuck to it. So I think I probably did about 2. I don't know, how long have we been having these chats?
Since December.
About the time okay, so about the time we started the chats is when I started training her seriously.
Nice.
So that long.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like you're making good progress.
Yeah, and then I have Morgan, who is working. We're working together to do intermediate trialing. And one of the things I think I've made a mistake with her is not spending enough warm-up time. And I really like what Monica said about practicing the break separately in the beginning. So I'm going to take that and do that with her. Because, pushing 6 balls, and we practice it, and like you say, my goal is to do that 5 times, and that's an awful lot. So maybe we'll do that fewer times and then practice the break. Monica, how many balls did you use in practicing the break?
Well, the first time when I did it wrong or the second time when I did it right?
Okay, I'll probably do it wrong anyway, so tell me the right way.
Yeah, so the right way, what I went back and when I started over was I went from 3 balls to 4 balls. Woohoo! And put them, I guess, in a diamond pattern. So there was, there was that center ball behind the point ball that had to be pushed out of the way.
Yep.
And then from there, I went to 5 balls with just the, the point ball and then 2 balls and then 2 balls kind of stacked on top of them. And each time I added a ball, I decreased the distance again.
Okay.
So so I kind of so I went back to doing my 3 balls at the 35 feet and then and even farther to work on the distance and get the distance comfortable, and then I would bring the balls in quite a bit closer when I started working on the break, and then also closer in terms of working on the duration, I guess it would be, of doing the multiple balls. And does that help?
Yep, I'm going to give that a go.
Right.
Thank you.
Hey, Holly, what about your dogs? How's your incremental training program going?
Well, I think I'm a little more, whoops, first a minute, I turn unmute my microphone, my dogs start barking. I think I'm more disorganized, not that organized. So this past winter, the past few months, I've just been training once a week with her. And sometimes not even if there was a holiday or weather or something. So, and sharing with somebody, sharing the hour with somebody. And sometimes there's other dogs there. Sometimes there might be quite a few other dogs there, and sometimes there's less. So I'm really adapting what she's doing to the situation that day. I mean, she can pretty much do, say, 30 feet and 5 balls in general. And so there's certain things that we're working on. And the way I usually do a practice session is I might have 4 turns, say, if I'm training with somebody else. We keep switching off. So I don't do 4 5-ball runs. I might do that once. I might do a couple where I'm sending her out a distance and releasing her behind because I'm trying to keep her excited about doing that initial run out. And then, one time when she pushes in, I may reward for every ball, and then later in the session, I may try to do one where I only reward at the end of all the balls. And sometimes I don't even set up a normal run. I'll put balls scattered around and practice sending her to the certain balls. So, and I'm really adjusting what I'm doing that training session by how she's reacting. Like if there are other dogs there, we have to be much closer, and I have to spend a whole lot more time on getting her to focus and not react to the other dogs. So I guess I'm always adapting what I'm doing to how she's reacting that day. I know what I'm kind of working on. I know certain things we're working on right now. We're working on, by the time you go out to, say, the 3rd ball, don't turn around and stand there barking at me, things like that. But I'm sort of adapting or trying to be flexible to how she's reacting that day. So I guess I'm not quite as organized as far as, certainly don't have a written training plan.
Well, that could be another thing that you want to track is how how aroused is your dog that day, and how, but that's hard to measure, you know. You're not going to take a blood sample and read her adrenaline level. So you have to.
Well, I often do it. I often do a journal. I keep notes on my dog's training in Evernote, and so I'll often make notes after I come home about what worked, what didn't work, and kind of little reminders of what I should remember, you know, try to do next time.
Mm-hmm.
And I do as I'm driving the training, I have a mental idea of some things that I want to try, but I haven't ever gotten as organized as your spreadsheet by any means.
Yeah.
Now I may have in the very beginning, you know, and I've helped some people to, you know, start from the beginning with training, and then I have a definite step-by-step plan.
Right.
But I guess as I've gotten further along with it, I play it by ear a lot, and maybe that's not, you know, I don't know. It seems to be working okay, but it could probably be improved with more discipline, more self-discipline.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a pretty good description of what you're doing and how Truffle is reacting to the training. Sounds like distractions might be something we have a discussion on someday too, and how to deal with various levels of movement and people and dogs around us, and maybe a step-by-step training program for that. Let's move on to Mary.
Hi.
Hi, Mary.
I've been working. Hi. Biscuit pulled a muscle in his chest, and I'm used to working with a dog he loves to push a ball. I could kick a ball out at any distance, and he'll bring it back to me however I ask. So now I've been working with Charlie, who is the polar opposite. And you were talking when you were showing, like, I had a 5 trials. When do you end that? If you get 5 good trials, do you just stop there, or do you continue on? Because Charlie is the kind of dog who, after he does a certain amount, he will either just lay down and roll over, or he'll pick up the ball and bring it to me in his teeth. So I'm trying to figure out a way to make him of all that. I guess I got spoiled with a dog who just loved the game and was into everything I was doing. And now I'm going to a dog.
I would probably spend an equal amount of time playing or rewarding your dog as you were training. So I would take a break and play. So if, you know, Biscuit might want to play fetch or something and Charlie just wants to lay down, maybe that's his reward, is being able to lay down in a
cool so like if I can't even get 5, I guess I have to steer back on wanting to be driven myself and let him go. If I get 3 good, then end it and play with him so that he's still excited.
Yeah.
Would that be?
Yeah, because you're building endurance, meaning more balls, more pushing, etc. So,
Mary, I think maybe you were thinking you had to do all 5 in one training session. You could take a whole hour to do those 5.
Okay, that is exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was doing them like one after the other.
No, you do one, and then you do whatever. Like Sandy said, either with JoJo, it's best. I throw a couple do a couple fetches with her, but then I take her for a sniffing walk. That seems to like help. That's her best break. And then so it might. Sometimes I wouldn't get 5 repetitions. You know, it would be hard sometimes to get 5 repetitions in an hour and a half training session.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. I think that'll help. It's like I said, it's hard to get used to a dog who's not driven to do it. Like Biscuit will push a door open. He'll push anything that's in front of him just to show me. Charlie's not that kind of dog.
This is my niece's dog. I should bring her in Treibball. Tracy, you're the last one. Do you want to turn your mic on?
Hi. Well, like I said, we just kind of got started with this, so I've only taken a couple classes, but listening to you guys really makes me think that we're moving like pretty fast. So after only 3 classes, and that's like private lessons, the last class that we did, I had 3 balls out there. I'm in the goal screaming, come by, away, trying to get him to push them to me from pretty far away. And it felt pretty out of control because I hadn't spent enough time just getting him to kind of line up behind the ball, like I'm hearing a lot of you say is really fundamental to this. So I think I need to do a lot more of that so that it's not so chaotic. I think he's going to like it and he gets the idea of the game, but I would like it to be a little bit more controlled, like with the waiting behind the ball and then doing it as I ask him to do it, not just kind of pushing whenever he wants to.
Right. Tracy, what is your dog?
I have a mini poodle. He's 3 years old.
Okay. And what's his name?
Kosar.
Kosar?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so how long have you been training?
I've had dogs all my life, but this is the first dog, like as an adult, that I've ever had and really trained. So just since he was a puppy. So I've been learning a lot of just fundamentals of training, kind of
How old
bringing
is
him
he?
up. He's 3.
3? Okay. And so how long have you been doing Treibball?
Like a month.
Wow. Nice. Okay, so your assignment is to make a video. Show us what you're doing. Post it on the Facebook page, and maybe that's what we can do as a action item for this month is to all show on the Facebook page how we've used incremental training and how that's working for each one of you, so we can continue this discussion on through the month. So I think we ought to use the last 6 minutes to just be social. What do you guys think? Like, how do we do that? We're dog people.
Well, you guys, did you notice the little dog I had in my lap?
Mm-hmm.
That's Pal Sandy, and we are babysitting him right now and hoping that we might adopt him.
Very cool.
Cool. Yeah.
Does he have a name?
Pal.
Al?
P-A-L.
Pal. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, there you go, Holly.
I'm going to try to get JoJo up here. Actually, maybe I'll go to her.
Oh, yeah, this is good. Get your dogs on your lap.
No, come here. I had to bring Treibball up to be social.
Cindy has King. I'll get Pilot.
I feel left out. I'm still at work.
Oh, no. You'll have to get a second dog.
You have a picture?
I've got one.
Wait a minute, everybody. I'm going to take a picture.
Come here, Ghost. Here you go.
Okay. Whoops, hang on. Hang on.
That's adorable, the stuffed dog.
Okay, good job. That's called a group portrait. And for all of you guys who don't have webcams or on phones, we're including you too. Who's that in the background, Holly? Oh, your microphone is off.
That's Annie. Here, I'll show you Annie too.
Oh, here comes
There's Annie.
Oh, there he is.
His daughter. Annie knows a little bit of Treibball. She knows a little bit.
How many do you have?
Beg pardon?
How many dogs do you have?
5.
5.
Yeah, 5x3 of sheepdogs is really nutty.
You got me beat.
Uh-oh.
And here's
I only have 4.
Hey, Valley, come here. Come here, Valley. Come here. There's Valley. He's too big to put up here.
Yeah, I can see.
He's coming up. There he is.
All right.
Look.
So, was anybody affected by the tornadoes and wind that just went through the last night, yesterday? No?
No, we were really lucky. There was, in Illinois, there were tornadoes and there was someone killed, but we had a lot of wind, but no real damage.
Yeah.
That's in Illinois.
Is it?
Yeah.
It seems like they're going further north than they used to. Is that? Did you always get tornadoes?
In central Illinois, we always get tornadoes. We get them here every year.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But this one went further north. It was up in northern Illinois this time.
Yeah. Cindy.
Wyoming didn't have any tornadoes, but we had both our major interstates closed just due to high winds and snow.
Wow.
They just opened up I-25 and I-80 yesterday. The entire town was filled with semis because they couldn't go anywhere.
Wow.
But I'll take that over tornadoes.
Yeah. We had mudslides.
Yeah, right. We've seen those. It's awful.
And we had almost every highway going into, we're kind of ensconced in a mountain range around us, and we're right on the ocean. So our highways go over mountains, and almost all of them were closed at various times, and our main artery was closed for several days. And and all the mountain roads were completely mudslided. Big Sur's mudslided all over the place. So we're going to be recovering for a long, long time. Yeah.
And all of that, and you still don't have, the water didn't go into your water supply, I think I saw.
No. Oh, yeah. So we have a limestone cap that's between us and our underground water supply. And so it doesn't go in very quickly. It has to kind of seep through that limestone. And so it just runs off. And that's, I think it's pretty deep down there, 500 feet or something like that. So the saturation, the soil was really saturated a couple of weeks ago, and now today we got out and mowed, and we were able to walk on it. It felt like we were skating on mud before. So now the field is really healthy. Finally. Yeah, so let's call it a day, and we'll hope to see all of you back on April 6th. If you wouldn't mind, if everybody can chat it up and try to get more people here, we'd love to see more people. And we're going to try to attract more speakers so that I'm not doing all the work. So, or Monica. And so we're hopefully going to get somebody in to talk about multiple balls next time, and we're asking right now. We haven't got answers back yet. So if anybody has any ideas or wants to hear about a particular topic, we're totally open-minded. And, it's basically, we just wanted to have a topic to kind of coalesce around. So until next time.
Okay. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.